Welcome to the HU Move Makers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Welcome to the HU Move Maker podcast, where we highlight influential people in Howard culture that are making moves at the highest level. Today, got a special guest, man. Got a executive producer, writer. This brother's movies on Netflix. This man has worked with John Singleton in the crime drama Rebel, which is on BET and Viacom networks. Like I said, writer, director, producer, president of DJ Classicz with a Z. Right now he's
with a Z.
With a Z. That's what I said. With a Z. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
right
sir.
now, working on Welcome to Sudden Death for Universal Pictures, which is going to premiere on Netflix in September 2020. Writing and executive producing an adaptation of the crime thriller novel Notorious C.O.P. with 50 Cent and T.I. I'm sure that's going to be crazy. From East High School, Denver, Colorado, Howard University, School of C, Campus Pal, the man, the mystery, the legend, Dallas Jackson. What up, bro?
What's up, sir? I like that intro. That's
hey, man. I gotta set the tone and get the energy right, so we can let people know, man. We got royalty. We got royalty on the show today, man. We got Dallas Jackson. And you know what, Dallas, man? When I was looking at your bio, I'm like, man, not many people include their high school in their bio. High school, what's up? What happened at East High School? Why does that need to be included in the bio?
Bro, let me tell you something. I tell people I'm from Denver, and they're like, "There's brothers in Denver?" I'm like, "There's brothers in Denver. There've been brothers in Denver." But my high school, man, is special, man. I don't know what's going on there. I didn't really figure it out till like I got older. But Hattie McDaniel went to East. Cheadle went East.
Well, you said Patty who?
Hattie McDaniel.
Patty McDaniel.
First black woman to win an Oscar. Yeah, first black woman to win an Oscar.
Wow.
And she starred in Gone with the Wind.
Damn. Gone with the Wind?
Gone with the Wind. She won an Oscar from that movie. She went to East in like 1920 something. Don Cheadle went to East. When Colors came out, Don's little brother Colin, I went to school with him. So East was a special spot. I was going to say, when Colors came out, Don's little brother Colin, who I was in the same grade with, they let him stand up and tell everybody, my brother has a movie coming out. It's his first movie. It's Colors. Everybody go support it. They let everybody out of school early that day to go see Colors with Don Cheadle. And nobody knew who Don Cheadle was yet because he wasn't blown up yet. But he was from Denver, man. He went to East. My father went to a school across the way called Manual, which is like 3 blocks away from East. So they're rivals. And Pam Grier went to Manual. And that was my dad's first girlfriend. So
dang.
When I see Pam, I saw her like a decade ago. She was like, I was going to be your mama. I was like, so Denver, people sleep on Denver, man, but it's a special place. And my high school was definitely a special place.
Wow. Pam Grier, is that the original Foxy Brown?
That's the original Foxy Brown.
I don't know if our viewers know who that is, so Google that.
Google Pam Grier.
Google that one.
Foxy Brown. Google Coffee, which is her other movie. Google Jackie Brown, which she starred in for Tarantino. She's straight out of Denver, man. And
I remember the Tarantino joint, man. She was like the stewardess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember my pops took me to go see that joint, and I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I think he had to sneak and take me because I was like in 8th grade when that joint came out. But little did I know that Pops was putting me on to game. You know what I'm saying?
Again, my pops used to tell me that was his lady in high school. And I'd be like, okay. And then I met her one day and was like, I'm Dallas Jackson's son. And she hit me with that, I should have been your mama. And I was like, damn, Pops was really
Damn.
Yeah,
Respect the OG, man. So
OG. So
so
yeah,
man,
Denver was
so
a special place, man. And I left from Denver and went to Howard, and it was a whole nother, a different world. No pun intended.
that's what's up, man. But right now, man, it seems like you got your hand in a lot of projects. You executive producing some joints. I mean, you work with John Singleton, which, rest in peace to John Singleton, but that's a legend. Not just for black films, but just for films in general, man. What was it like working with that
Period.
dude?
Man, it was an honor, bro. It was special, man, because he embraced me. He didn't have to. He could have just been. We met at a party that the Weinsteins were having. It was an Oscar party,
Oh,
and
with Harvey?
Harvey was there somewhere.
Well, we know what he was on, bro. We know what Harvey was on.
He was there somewhere. And Leon Isaac Kennedy, who starred in the original Penitentiary movies, introduced me and John, and he told John, "You need to pay attention to this young brother. He's doing some amazing stuff. Y'all need to get together and collaborate."
How long ago was this?
This was like 2013. And at this point, John is John.
He's a man. I mean, because once I feel like, at least from my perspective, because he did Boys in the Hood, right?
He did Boys in the Hood. That was his first movie. He wrote that movie.
That was his first joint?
He wrote that movie when he was 19. He made it when he was 21.
Damn, that was back in 91, bro.
So he got nominated for an Oscar at 22. He was the youngest person ever and brother to be nominated for an Oscar for a screenplay. So he was out of here from the start.
So when how did you get to meet him? You said somebody you go to this party and somebody just introduced y'all?
I go to this party that is around Oscar season, and Leon Isaac Kennedy. If you don't know who Leon Isaac Kennedy is, he's a legend. He starred in penitentiary movies in the 70s. There's this string of prison movies called Penitentiary, and he starred in 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he introduced me and John, and from there, John was curious about what I was into, and he found out I knew a lot of mutual people he knew. He was impressed I was a writer, that I had already sold projects. And at that point, we just bonded over our mutual love of the same kind of movies, content. People don't know he was a huge comic book nerd. I was a huge comic book nerd. I still am. We just talked about comics and movies. And next thing I know, we went to another party that Lee Daniels was having. Because this was like Oscar season, so people just having parties like all weekend. And after that, he was like, "Hit me up, if you want to keep talking."
So he gave you his number?
He gave me his number.
Oh, that's what's up, man. But to get this introduction to him, obviously you had to be doing your thing already. It's not like somebody.
I was already doing my thing. I was already doing my thing. That's why when he introduced us, Leon did. He told John I was already doing my thing. So it wasn't like, "Hey, help this brother out." It was more like, "This cat's doing stuff. You and John should try to figure something out." And there was some time back, maybe like around 2009, 2010, I had a deal with 20th Century Fox. I had a first look deal at Fox where I could bring in material, and I had an office and everything. So
what's the first look deal?
That means that any project I had as a writer or as a director, that I had an open door to bring it into 20th Century Fox, and they have first right of refusal to buy the project from me.
Is that something that you get? Do they compensate you for that?
Well, they give you an office space, and if they buy it from you, you get your money for the script. If you're a producer, you get money as a producer. But it's a coveted thing. They don't do it a lot anymore because you have to pay someone to be exclusive to the studio. It's kind of like having a record deal. If Columbia gives you a record deal, they give you money to make a record, or Sony Music or whatever. 20th Century Fox gives you a deal to be at their studio and provide them with content. Now, my discussion with John was I had this deal at Fox, and they weren't really buying stuff from me. It was more like them being able to say they had another black producer on the lot. They didn't have a lot. And so John and me bonded over that because he had many first look deals, and he was frustrated with the studio system, and even him being John trying to get certain movies made, or certain projects made. He wanted to make a movie about Emmett Till for like a decade and was having problems with that.
Why is it so hard to, once you have notoriety and a following, why is it difficult to get a project off the ground?
Well, because every time you come to the table, especially if you're someone like John or even me now to a certain degree, you're asking for millions of dollars. You need millions of dollars to go make a movie. Now, I made Thriller, my first movie that I got to direct. I made that movie for $1 million, but still I had to go get $1 million, right? So this company, Blumhouse, gave me the $1 million. If you want to go make a movie about Emmett Till,
so did Chauncey Page, was he the murderer in there?
Oh man, you gotta watch it, bro. I can't.
Did he do it, bro?
I can't spoil it.
Oh, come on, man.
I can't spoil that. It's still on Netflix. You go check it out. You can.
Me and my wife, we gonna watch it right after this. Right after this, we gonna watch it. I'm gonna DM you right after this. Like, man, right. Chauncey, I know Chauncey ain't, cause Thriller, you gotta watch Thriller, and let me know if I'm setting this up right. So Thriller, I guess it's like kids playing a prank. Chauncey pushes somebody, accidentally kills him, does 4 years in juvie, gets out of juvie. Now it's like these string of murders is going on, and they suspect Chauncey.
They suspect Chauncey. Now, the first time that Chauncey is arrested when he's a kid, they set him up. It wasn't. He didn't do it.
You're right. I forgot that little element where they just like blamed it on him because they wanted to scapegoat. Set him up. Yeah.
So, rightfully, when he comes home, he wants, it's justifiable that he would want revenge for that setup. But then maybe somebody's setting him up again for their own revenge.
I like it. So let's stop it right there. Check out the movie. It's on Netflix.
Thriller on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, man.
Right now.
It looks great, man. So you put that movie together for $1 million. Did you make money off of it?
Yeah, well, put it
this
way.
How does that work? You get $1 million to put together this movie, which I guess is.
The company Blumhouse that I did it for, they did Get Out, they did Paranormal Activity, they did a bunch of horror movies. They made a bunch of money off making low budget horror movies. Low budget meaning micro budget, which is usually between 1 and 3 million. So they made a bunch of money making these movies. And the thing about it is when I went and met with them, they had read a script of mine that they liked a lot and wanted to know if I had a script that I could make with them for a micro budget. And their biggest audience are Black and Latino teenagers. And they didn't have anything coming down the pipeline for Black and Latino teenagers. They were about to open Get Out. They didn't know how big that was going to be. So when Get Out blew up, I had just given them the script for Thriller, which is which is basically my Scream, my Friday the 13th, my Halloween with Black and Latino teenagers.
So they did Get Out.
They did Get Out.
Oh wow!
So I gave them the script. They did the budget. They said, "This is how much we'll give you to make the movie." I said, "Cool, I'll do it. Can I direct it?" They were like, "Sure, it's your movie. You know it better than anybody else." And the great thing about Thriller was it's a high concept movie, meaning, it's a genre piece. It's a horror movie. High concept is usually action, sci-fi, horror. And sometimes comedy is a high concept, depending on, what the idea is. But it's a high concept movie that can be done on a budget. And it takes place mostly in one neighborhood and a high school. So they budgeted it and were like, go make your movie. And I shot that, in the course of the summer. We cast it in June, shot in July, wrapped in August, late August. And like I said, they gave me my $1 million, and Netflix snatched it up for $3 million. So I was in the black as soon as Netflix stepped up. But the movie premiered at the LA Film Festival. It got a lot of hype. It got me some great other opportunities. It got me the opportunity to do the last movie I just did. It got me an opportunity to direct some TV. But sometimes you gotta gamble on yourself, and you also gotta gamble on taking what they want to give you to make it and go make it. They probably would have gave some white boy $5 million to go make it. And that's not being racial. That's just being real. They gave me $1 million and said, go make your movie, and I took the ball and ran with it.
So when you do a deal like that, that $1 million, do you get paid from that $1 million, or is that just straight towards the cost of the movie? Like is your time and effort included in that?
That's everything. That's my fee as a director. That's my script fee. Now, just because you got $1 million doesn't mean you can't call favors. I had RZA score the movie for me. That's $1 million right there. You can't buy a RZA score for 25 G's.
RZA is from Wu-Tang, right?
From the Wu-Tang.
So when you say score a movie, what does that mean?
He did all the music in the movie. He did the entire music. Everything you hear in the movie music-wise, RZA did it.
Okay.
So he scored the movie. He did the soundtrack. I had Mykelti Williamson, who was in Forrest Gump. He's been in a lot of movies. He is A+ actor. I had him play the principal in the movie. You can't get Mykelti to come do a movie for less than $500,000. But he was my boy because he did Rebel with me. He's my friend. So Mykelti came and did the movie. So if you got
him, that was, for those of y'all don't know, that's Bubba.
That's Bubba Gump. That next generation, go Google Bubba Gump. Okay, that's all you got to do. So
he the one put Forrest onto the shrimp business.
That's right. I'm looking at the poster now. Like, yeah.
Okay, so
he really was in my movie.
So I mean, you call in these favors, man. Like to a guy like your boy Mike or whatever. What about when other producers or directors find out that he's doing this project not at his regular cost? Does that affect his brand? Or
no, because just because he did it as a favor, we still got him taken care of in the deal. So in the deal, if the movie makes money, he makes money. They also locked him in for a 2-picture deal at Blumhouse.
So you're able to give him some equity in the project.
Gave him some equity in the movie, and they locked him in for 2 more movies because he came and did my movie. So that was a favor. They gave RZA the all rights to the soundtrack. So he was like, yeah, I'll do the music, but I'll own the soundtrack, which he shared with me. And then also they gave him a deal if he wanted to come to the table for a movie and direct for under $1 million. So
what about when it sells to Netflix? Do you get a piece of that?
What you get is your residuals. So there are streaming residuals.
So every time somebody watches it, you get a piece of that.
Yeah, you get a collective piece of the entire run. So it's been a year since it came out, and supposedly I will start seeing my residuals after the first year. So check back with me on that, because if not, we have to holler at somebody. We ain't in the record.
We're going to have to Suge Knight them.
Yeah.
We might have to Suge Knight a few people, man.
Suge Knight them, but this is why there's unions. This is why I'm in the Writers Guild. This is why I'm in the Directors Guild, because they're the ones who go get your money for you. I don't have to send Suge. I send the union.
In this game, man. So if you were, let's say I get a project sold for $1 million to a company like Blumhouse, I mean, how do you know like what you should sell your script for and all of those things that you should negotiate to make sure that you're not taken advantage of? Or is
there's minimum. So the Writers Guild of America, if you're not in the Writers Guild and a studio wants to buy your script, the Writers Guild will knock on your door and tell you a member now because you just sold a script to a studio. The Writers Guild has minimums. So let's say for a screenplay, the minimum I think you can get is like $40,000. That's the minimum that a studio can pay you for your script.
Wow.
But the next time you sell a script, you can ask for $80,000. The next time you sell a script, you can ask for $150,000. The next time you sell a script, if you're so fortunate, you can ask for $300,000. It's called your quote. So you want your quote to go up. Every time you do something, the last gig, you double on it. You know, you're constantly moving your quote up. Now you got people like Netflix giving people like Kenya $100 million. You know, you got streaming.
$100 million?
They gave him $100 million deal to create content.
Are you serious?
That's in Deadline. Yeah, that was well publicized.
Damn,
so,
$100 million?
$100 million. Netflix gave Shonda Rhimes $100 million.
And Monique can't get nothing.
Monique
Monique can't get nothing.
Monique pissed off the wrong people.
Yo, man, Dallas, you got to put Monique in a movie, bro.
I would love to. You know, my thing is that if you start something and you're working really hard to build on your name and your talent and your brand, it's worth too much time to burn it down.
Yeah. So she pissed off the wrong people, man.
She burned down her own foundation. Now, That's not to say she can't build it back up where she's not in the process of building it back up, but it takes a lot of time out here to get to a point where people will put you in projects, give you money for projects, offer you jobs, because you got to build up a foundation of trust and also build up a foundation of you can deliver. And, you know, just because you won an Oscar or just because you had a number one movie or whatever, or just like John was saying, Singleton would always tell me, you're only as good as your last project. You know, your clout can go so far, but if you didn't make no money on that last one, they're going to look at you funny on the next one. So, you know, that's where I am. I'm building my, I don't want to call it brand. I really don't buy into that, but I'm building my company. I'm building my reputation to be able to deliver so I can move up the next bracket, you know. But I'm definitely not where I was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I wasn't where I was 10 years before that when I first moved to LA.
Damn. So, okay. That's interesting, man. So you gotta have, because I want to say I want to say Ice Cube did Friday on a very low budget, and I think he called in some favors. And I want to say he did that project in less than like a month or something, like something crazy like that.
Yeah, they did Friday in like 27 days was like the production schedule, 28 days.
And he probably made how much off that?
He made a grip off of it. Man. But you know, he shot the movie for like, I think New Line and Priority Records chipped in, and he had like $3 million to shoot it. And it made $100 million on home video. Like, people were buying it, not only renting it, they were buying it. That's when home video was on fire. Streaming is on fire now. Home video at one point, you remember, you go down to that Blockbuster by Howard, you know, and get busy. But like streaming, Redbox, all that stuff.
Oh, it was a block. Yo, I came after the Blockbuster at Howard.
Oh, you came after the.
I'm the Napster era. Napster was popping.
Y'all was bootlegging.
Yeah.
But that Blockbuster used to be popping. Let me tell you. You go up in there and catch somebody from the quad or whatever. She want to rent something. You want to rent something. That was the spot, you know.
Damn.
But my point is that Ice Cube got paid because he did a low budget movie, had a piece of it, and it ended up blowing up on home video. Now home video is kind of a thing of the past. So streamers like Netflix and Amazon, these other companies are paying you up front. They're giving you your 2, 3 million, 4 million up front.
So if it flops, if they give you that money and it flops, you got to pay that back?
No, that's your money.
Okay.
That's the thing about streaming. It really isn't. You can't really flop because you're providing content for them to continue to get people to stay. Netflix wants you to stay on Netflix.
Yeah, somebody's gonna watch it.
Yeah, so they gotta keep putting stuff out there so that people don't go away. So you technically can't flop. All you could do is take what they want to give you, which is now they're giving you 80 million, 50 million, 30 million, 20 million. Go make your product, deliver it to them. You put your money in the bank and give them a good movie, they'll come back again.
So back to John Singleton, man. So John Singleton is telling you, like, you only as good as your last movie. But John Singleton, you said he wanted to write something about Emmett Till. You said even himself, he was having trouble raising the money that he wants. I mean, but a person like me, you look at John Singleton like, man, this guy, you're rich. Finance it yourself. You know all these Hollywood stars. Why do you need to get this conglomerate behind you to push the movie out?
Well, he had tried that. He had a big deal at Universal at one point. He financed Hustle and Flow. He put Hustle and Flow was all his money. And he gambled on himself. I think he put in $2 million to make Hustle and Flow. And that blew up everybody. Terrence Howard, that blew up Taraji, that blew up Craig Brewer, the director. Nobody had done that before. Not Tyler Perry. Nope. So he did do that. But, he finally sold that movie at Sundance, but it wasn't easy for him to sell that movie. That movie was about a pimp. You know what I'm saying? And so you take a gamble on yourself only because you want people to come gamble on you. So you can't keep putting 2, 3, 4 million into your own projects unless there's a company behind you that's going to keep helping you deficit that. So Paramount was supposed to be that home for him after Hustle and Flow, and they didn't really deliver on that promise. So, it's hard, man. Tyler Perry, I'm not a big fan of the content, but he's showing people how to build a company. And what he did was he went to Lionsgate and told them, I'll finance the movie, you distribute it, and I'll take a big piece of it. And they went for that, and there's not a lot of people doing that, but you gotta find a way to do it, and you're right. But typically, man, it's tough. It's tough for us because we don't have our own studio. We got Tyler Perry Studios now, but like he's making Tyler Perry stuff. Oprah, Eddie Murphy, all these people should have put their money together a long time ago and made our own studios. But that is where we're at now, is trying to figure that out. There's different ways to get your product done. There's different ways to get rich, but the real way to get rich is to own your own content. And that's what Charles King is doing at Macro. He's owning his own content. I'm starting my own studio with my movie, my second movie, my TV shows by building DJ Classicz into a company. Eventually, I would like to go get money and have investors so that I can just greenlight my own product.
I mean, and I guess Spike Lee comes off as being like, if you had to pick who is the more woke, you would say Spike Lee is the one that's more woke than Tyler, based off the content of the movies. But
based off the content, yeah.
But when you dig deeper and you go behind the camera, it sounds like Tyler is the one that's more woke. You know what I mean? He owns more. I mean, that studio that he has in Atlanta, like that's a whole campus basically that he has, and he's basically, at least from my vantage, and I haven't been there or anything, but I looked on YouTube. He's like what he's doing for Atlanta and creating opportunities for people to, now you can say I'm gonna go to LA or New York, but now you can say I'm gonna go to Atlanta and be an actor. And maybe you might only do Tyler Perry type of movies, but he's literally carved out a whole niche for himself, within Hollywood. And I had Lance Gross on here earlier. He said, Tyler, he got discovered because Tyler Perry had came to his audition. And Tyler was like, yeah, I want you. I'm going to fly you out to, Atlanta to work on this project, Meet the Browns or Meet the Pains. I forgot the name of it. But he said it was originally for 10 shows. They did like 250, So I don't know.
I wouldn't say it's a question of who's more woke. Because, you look at Spike's library, you go to Malcolm X or whatever, but like, I think it's more of whose business model benefited who better. Tyler started out doing plays, so he knew how to be self-sufficient. To make a play, you don't need millions of dollars. To make a movie, you need a lot of money. And so Tyler learned how to be a one-man band by making these plays, and he was making money, and that he saved that money from the plays and used it to make a movie. Spike came from the school of making independent movies and making bigger and bigger movies. So you need studio backing for that. But if you have the studio backing you, 9 out of 10, they're going to keep most of that money. They're going to give you a little bit of a change. Tyler was able to own his product because he was financing it himself from those years of doing plays. So it's just a matter of whose business plan benefited them the most. Tyler's business plan is amazing, but it's not unique in terms of what people could have done. Eddie Murphy could have done the same thing. He chose not to. The Wayans brothers at one point were going to start their own studio. They were going to have their own campus and everything. I saw the designs for it and everything.
Wow. Never happened.
But it never happened. So, you gotta execute that if you're going to. And it's hard to, if the Wayans brothers are being offered $20 million as opposed to spending $20 million of your own money, you're going to take the $20 million and go make that movie over there because there's no risk in taking $20 million,
No overhead. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to make it back.
Right.
It's more of a turnkey situation.
Yeah, Will Smith probably could have been Tyler Perry. But yeah. Will Smith's getting $40 million a movie. So, he could probably open his own studio right now, but there's no immediate demand for him to do that.
So, but what about, at what point do you start thinking about your legacy? Because you can make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, Tyler Perry, he ain't got to win no Oscars, no nothing.
No.
But 200 years from now, we're going to be talking about Tyler Perry. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
At what point do you say, man, you know what? I've made X amount of millions, so I'm straight with my time on Earth. At what point do you turn it around and you start thinking about the next thing, or you start thinking about, what are people going to say about your films, or not even your films, because we're going to be talking about Spike Lee too. And I want to also
that's a fact. For 200 years, you're going to be talking about Spike.
You're going to be talking about Spike Lee.
But it's the mentality, it's your mentality in terms of, am I an actor? Am I a director? Or am I creating content that will become legendary?
Got you.
And I think Tyler figured out a way to make content that's not necessarily legendary, but made him legendary for what he was able to do with that content. He was able to build the first Black-owned studio based on low-hanging fruit. No disrespect. Spike will be known for creating these legendary stories about us. He won't be known for 40 Acres and a Mule, his company, because, if he's gone, that's probably gone too. Ownership is the real route to wealth.
since we brought up Spike, man, I mean, how does it, you know, I remember when Malcolm X came out, like that movie to me was epic. And Spike has a bunch of epic movies. I mean, Do the Right Thing comes to mind. But Malcolm X, like that was a movie where Denzel, like he became Malcolm X, at least from all indications. Like when I even look on YouTube and I see Malcolm X talking, I'm like, damn, like Denzel became that dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did.
And how does Spike Lee not even get a Grammy or like Spike? Like how do they? I mean, did that movie get a Grammy or Oscar, whatever it's called?
Oscar? Nah, I know. Denzel was nominated.
Like how do they not win everything? You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
Like that movie was nuts, man. And then he turns around and does what's that movie he did that he got an Oscar for? Training Day.
Mm-hmm.
He gets an Oscar for Training Day, but he doesn't get one for Malcolm X. I mean, what does that say about the industry?
I mean, look, man, the industry is racist, like straight up. And when I say that, I mean that when people are voting for Oscars, it's usually older white men. And that's part of the Academy. That's the thing they've been trying to change, is who votes for these movies. And when that came out, Malcolm X, that was voted by a bunch of old white men. I think Al Pacino or something won for Best Actor that year. But
So
that's
how does the Academy get that type of power though? You know what I'm saying?
Well, because who started the industry, you know? So, you know, the idea is that they've been trying to diversify it, which they've been trying to do. They've added people like Ava DuVernay and people to kind of mix up the Academy membership. But traditionally, man, it's not been geared for us to be able to win unless we're playing a role or making a movie that's, you know, slavery or something, you know, Glory, you know, that kind of thing. Glory was tight, but I think that was the movie Denzel got his Oscar for.
Yeah, Glory was definitely a dope movie, but I mean, Training Day.
Yeah, but by the way, Training Day was ill.
No,
but
it was a good movie.
It wasn't Malcolm X, you know.
Like Malcolm X, like when I watch it today, man, I get chills. Like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Denzel had to go to a place that he never been. You know what I'm saying?
I was just in Palm Springs over the weekend, and I watched Malcolm X. I was like, you know, I feel like watching Malcolm. And bro, I was watching it like first time I seen it like a dozen times.
Yeah.
And my wife came over and started watching it with me, and she's seen it a dozen times, right? But we was just like, you know, it's such a enduring classic movie for us. And those don't come along a lot. You know, those kind of things don't, you know, Spike wasn't even supposed to direct Malcolm X. It was going to be this white cat. I forget, he was an older cat. And Spike literally hit the studio up like, you can't let this man tell this story. And I think he hit the director up and was like, you can't direct this movie. And the director threw in the towel and was like, let him direct it.
Damn.
So, you know, it's like they want to tell our stories, but they don't want to let us tell them. So, and that was the problem going back to John wanting to do the Emmett Till movie. And finally, before he passed, Spielberg came on board as a producer, and Taraji was going to play Emmett Till's mom, and that was the way it was going to go for him to get it made, by having Spielberg come in and put the money, and having somebody like Taraji, who he blew up anyway, come back and star. But, you know, you have to spell these things out. And maybe this movement we're going through right now might make things a little easier to tell our stories. I'm not going to bank on that. But I think for me, it's about being able to do a commercial movie, which is what I focus on. Action comedy, action, horror, and sci-fi are my main things that I'm working on. But to always slide some knowledge in there, always slide a little message in there.
do you feel a responsibility to try to add a message in everything that you do?
I do. I mean, I think you can get a message without saying message. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just the importance of being a family man, or just the important, like my last movie that's coming out, Welcome to Sudden Death, is just about a brother who has to save his family from a terrorist situation.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, he realizes that he hasn't been that good of a dad. And that was really speaking from my heart about wanting to spread the message about Black fathers being better fathers, or at least recognizing that we are good fathers, because this guy goes out to save his family. Me and Eddie Griffin are tight. So at one point, so he and I had a comedy in development at NBC. And Eddie asked me if I wanted to go to Quentin Tarantino's house for a party. And I was like, of course I want to go to Quentin Tarantino's house for a party.
Yeah, you know, some crazy shit going on up in there.
So we went, and bro was like, Stallone was there, Will was there, Will Smith.
So when you see these cats, are you is a part of you a fan?
Oh yeah, I'm a fan all day long.
So how do you play that off and be professional at the same time? Because you can't be like, yo, in West Philadelphia, born and raised.
No, bro,
you gotta play it cool.
This is what I did. It's so funny. So Eddie took me to Quentin's house. I'm walking in. I'm having my mind blown right away. I see Stallone like right there. I'm like, damn, he's short as hell. I see Will Smith. He's talking to somebody. I'm like, damn.
You seeing Rambo, G?
I'm seeing Rambo.
You seeing Rambo, G? Like that's Rambo.
Rambo is short as a motherfucker. I'm seeing Rambo. I'm seeing Brett Ratner. I'm seeing all these cats. And I go to the bar, and it's Tarantino. He's bartending at his house.
Wow.
I take out my phone, and I'm like, oh shit. And he's like, yo, who are you? And I at that moment, I realized I fucked up.
Damn, right? Dog.
He's like, who are you? I was like, oh. and so Eddie was like, it's cool. He's with me. It's my boy Dallas. He's a executive and a producer, blah, blah, blah. So Quentin was like, oh, okay, well, look, put your phone away and wait for it. You'll have time to take pictures. And I was like, my bad. I'm a huge fan.
Damn, bro, you wasn't even thinking. You just pull that joint out?
I just pulled that joint out. And the funny thing is, he was cool about it, because I think at one point he was about to be like, yo, get this app out of here.
Right.
He was cool about it. He made me a drink. He asked me what I want to drink. He made me a drink. He told me, go have some fun. And that's usually my mentality. I usually come in and have fun or whatever, but I just came in and got starstruck, bro. I couldn't even help it. You know,
so are Hollywood parties like, are they like crazy, like crazy like that? Does that really, because you hear all types of stuff where drugs and sex is everywhere.
Yeah, it depends where you go. Like Quentin's party wasn't crazy. It was just a bunch of famous people getting their buzz on, but nothing crazy jumped off. I mean, I think if you go, you know what you're going to get where you go. Like if Chris Brown was having a party, you know what's happening. You know what I mean? So, you know.
You ever been to the Playboy Mansion?
I've been to the Playboy Mansion.
Dang, and how was that?
It was super tame. I was disappointed.
I heard about the grotto or whatever it's called.
I seen the grotto. I seen all that. I was up in Hugh Hefner's bathroom. I had to go pee. Yeah, well, you know, it was cool, man. But I went there with my boy from high school. He lives in L.A. and he was a journalist, and he was covering something at the Playboy Mansion. He was like, "You want to go?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And you know, we went. It was cool. They had the Playboy bunnies and all that, but it wasn't like crazy. I think, you know, the craziest parties are probably the ones that are private and the ones that I've been to at somebody's house, you know, but that was mostly in my 20s. You know, I got kids now, so I can't be getting too crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to build a company. I can't hit coke in the morning and then try to go write a script in the afternoon. It's not gonna work, or vice versa.
That might be a conflict of interest right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you
but I'll say this, and you can ask the next question.
mm-hmm.
I never got a check for being at the right party. You feel
Really?
me? Never got a check for being at the right party. I got a check for doing work and getting it into the right people's hands. But I never got beamed up because I was at the right party. That's a misconception.
Do you believe all them allegations about Bill Cosby?
Unfortunately, yes. I think some of that stuff did happen because, and not to laugh about it, but just the idea of Bill Cosby being in jail is still crazy to me. If it wasn't for a different world, I wouldn't have gone to Howard. Like, that show literally opened my eyes to what a black school I thought would be like, and that's because of Bill Cosby. You know, when Bill Cosby used to wear those Howard sweatshirts on the Cosby Show and all that, that was bomb to me. So just the idea of who he was and who he was not still blows my mind. But yeah, it's just too many of the same allegations. If it was one thing and then somebody says something different and then somebody else says something different, but it's like the same allegation from like 24 women of the same repeat behavior. So I do unfortunately think that, you know, it's true, you know, but, you know, to do that, you have to be a diabolical motherfucker, man. And
You start the Hollywood directing producer thing around what year?
Well, first and foremost, I started off as a writer.
Okay.
So that's how I got into the business. Well, I got into a mailroom at this movie studio called Savoy Pictures. Savoy Pictures did this movie with Martin Lawrence called Thin Line Between Love and Hate.
Oh, with Lynn Whitfield. She went to Howard.
Yeah, they did a movie called.
What year is this?
They did a movie called Tales from the Hood. This was around 94.
94. So this is around 94.
I was still at Howard in 94, but this is when they were making those movies.
Man,
I got a job in the mailroom in 95. I just got to LA. I was 21. I got a job in this mailroom, and I learned that I took screenplay writing at Howard, but when I got a job in this mailroom, I was photocopying all the scripts. I was distributing scripts that they were buying. I was distributing scripts that they were about to make. I was taking all those scripts home. I was reading them for what to look for when they buy a script, what to look for when they don't buy a script.
Man, so you're doing this while you were at Howard?
No, this is my first year out.
Oh,
this when I got out, moved to LA.
Gotcha.
So I sold my first script from that mailroom. I wrote a script together with a cat named Ken Rance, who was CP, and he was also in LA working at CBS in the mailroom. Well, he was like in this junior executive program, which was kind of like an assistant.
So when you said a mailroom, you literally mean like you're sorting mail?
I was sorting mail. I was delivering Hollywood Reporter, putting it on executive's desk. I was taking scripts, photocopying them, putting them on executive's desk. I would go around and collect mail off of the head of the studio's desk and marketing side and all that. I would mail their stuff. If they asked me to go get them a coffee, I'd do that. Everything I was doing was to soak up.
How'd you get that gig?
I got that gig because there were two Howard cats working there, one in marketing and one in accounting. And I knew them both. They were older Howard cats. One was Todd May, rest in peace. He was a couple years older. He was also a CP. And he hit me up because he knew I just got to LA. And he was like, Savoy Pictures is hiring in the mailroom. And I can get you a job if you give me a resume. And I gave him the resume, and I got a job there. And so my point being is that I was able to get that job because I went to Howard. I learned at that job about the business, and then I decided that the way for me to get in was to write, because that's how all the greats have gotten in. John Singleton, Spielberg, Keenan Ivory Wayans, Quentin Tarantino. Everybody I looked up to started out as a writer first. And I wrote a script with Ken, and we sold it to 20th Century Fox. Wasn't that easy, as I'm saying it. That was about a 2-year process. But everything started in that mailroom and me learning from the bottom. So I started as a writer. I sold 4 or 5 scripts.
Damn.
And then I
so
hooked
you
up
selling
with,
these joints for $40K?
yeah, something like that. You know,
Damn.
you like a dealer. You know, you
Uncle Dallas. Uncle
you
Dallas.
you re
Can I
up.
call you Uncle Dallas?
You can call me my CG
Man.
name, Skinny D.
Skinny D, man. Hey, you turned to Fat D real quick though.
Hey,
you selling enough scripts.
But my main point was that I got in writing. Writing allowed me to become a producer, and also writing got me introductions to people. So
But how are you selling these scripts though? Like, are you a salesman? Like, are you pitching these things? Are you?
I had a manager and an agent.
Oh, okay. You had an agent.
My
Okay,
first
got
manager, as I mentioned, went to Howard, Topper Carew.
Got you.
He got me an agent. They were both brothers. This brother, Walter Morgan, and he was an agent. He represented Ken and I, and he got our script over to 20th Century Fox. You have to get representation in order to get your script out there. You got to get you a lawyer or an agent or a manager to send your script out.
So no way around that.
No way around that. I was getting paid, and I was getting development money, meaning working with the studio to rewrite my script and take studio notes from executives. But I wasn't getting my movies made because, you know, I was still writing high concept stuff with black people, and they just didn't want to take a chance on that. And I got a meeting. Master P sought me out because he had been reading about me selling these scripts. And we had a meeting. A mutual friend who was an agent introduced me to Master P. And he said, write me a movie for me and my son, and I'm going to finance it. And wow. I ended up writing him this movie called Uncle P, which was like a hip-hop Uncle Buck. And I wrote it for him. He gave me the check. The check was nice. I wrote him the movie.
Man, is this more than 40 grand?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man.
But at this point,
that's what's up.
At this point, I probably would have took less.
So I mean, what is he? So is Master P? You know who Master P is at this point, right?
Yeah, and at this point, Master P was still blowing up music wise.
So how does it feel how does it feel when you get approached by someone like that? You like?
Well, I wasn't starstruck by Master P. I was impressed by him because at that time I think he was worth $400 million. But I wasn't starstruck because I didn't grow up watching Master P. You know what I mean? I was like he was new on the block, so that was interesting to me. And his son was blowing up. Romeo had a little single. And so he asked me to write a movie for them. And the great thing with Master P, going back to our Tyler Perry conversation, was Master P financed the movie. He had a top-notch crew. We shot it in the Valley for $1 million. So I learned how to make a movie for $1 million from him. And when it came time to make a deal for the movie to sell it, because he owned the movie. The movie was independent. He gave me some equity in it, but it was his movie. It was his money. He let me go out and find the deals to get the movie sold. And so we approached Beacon Pictures, we approached New Line, and we approached Nickelodeon. And some of that was from me, some of that was from Master P. And we brought those 3 companies together, and all 3 of them bought that movie. Beacon Pictures bought the movie for a theatrical, Nickelodeon bought the movie for TV, and New Line bought the movie for home video. And I learned from Master P how to sell a movie, how to make a movie, and how to go get your money for the movie.
So you man, what made you decide to go to Howard anyway?
A different world.
A different world.
A different world, the TV show, and School Days, Spike Lee's movie.
School Days. But you didn't pledge at Howard though, did you?
Nah, when I was there, everybody was suspended. Everybody.
So if you were to pledge, what would you pledge?
Me, Fi, Me.
Oh, come on, man. I can't imagine my Howard experience without being a campus pal. You know what I'm saying? And to all those things you mentioned, I feel like you got a taste of every part of the Howard experience from being a campus pal, man. And it was certain, and to be honest, man, the campus pals, if you had to pick an organization or anything that ran the campus, it's campus pals. You know what I'm saying? Whether, I don't care if you could throw athletes in there, you can throw fraternities, sororities, you could throw all of that in there. Pals, because we had that advantage of being on campus with just freshmen or whatever, we had that advantage. And not only that, just from an ego perspective, like you said, you walking on campus and now you're becoming the crush of beautiful women. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, doesn't.
It was, and then, you know, it's not just that, even being a pal with other pals, like some of the funniest people, some of the coolest people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, bro, I'm still friends with everybody that I was pals with. We still talk.
Yeah.
We still connected. I mean, the variety shows, all that stuff, like, to me, is my best memories.
Yeah.
You know, that's ironically, that's where I learned to write, was during the variety shows.
Yeah.
There were sketches we came up with that they were still using for years. I came back and saw a variety show, was like, damn, I wrote that. Yeah, but like, bro, I seen people that were in frats that thought they were going to get in for sure because their frat or their soror was in pals, and they couldn't get in. You know what I mean? It wasn't to be taken lightly that you could get in.
Yeah, it was no science to that shit. So I mean, were you at Howard? Were you doing any other organizations? I know you said GOD.
GOD. I was in the ski club. I forgot. I did a couple other things. But Campus Pal was probably the biggest commitment I made. You know, I would volunteer up at the school for some things, but like organization-wise, I think CP was the big thing for me. I did a lot of stuff in school at C, just in terms of like, you know, making short movies and that kind of stuff. But CP was my biggest organization in terms of contribution.
So when you did get the chance to work with John Singleton, I mean, when you're working with a guy like that, obviously you're a fan of his work. I mean, are you guys like constantly communicating like every day throughout the day while these projects are going on?
Yeah, well, you know, once he gave me his number, I waited a couple weeks to call him because I didn't want to be like, next day, it's me. You know what I mean? I'm sure he got hit up with that a lot. So I waited a week or two, and then I texted him and said, "This is me, and you know, let's keep this conversation going." And he invited me to come chill out on his boat and talk. And while I was on the boat, I mentioned to him this project I was developing with my wife called Rebel. And he asked if he could read the script. I pitched him the idea of it, and then I gave him the script. And he said he wanted to exec produce it. And I told him I didn't want him to do any of the work. I just wanted him to, if he wanted to be down with it, let me make the phone calls. Let me do
so
the heavy.
Executive produce, what does that mean?
That means he put his stamp on it. He was going to say, from executive producer John Singleton. We were pushing for him to direct the pilot, which he eventually did once we got the green light.
So directing that's a lot more involved in producing in terms of like time commitment, right? Or no?
Yeah, and he didn't commit to directing the pilot from Jump Street, but we had a meeting at BET, and BET said, we'll give you guys a pilot right now. We'll commit to a pilot deal if John will direct the pilot. And at that point, Snowfall hadn't got made yet. He was working on Snowfall. So it took a little bit of negotiating because he didn't want to, he was supposed to direct Snowfall pilot too. And so once that all came together, we were in constant communication. And we even became tight like brothers. Our kids played together. You know, he lived up the street from me. I would go by the crib. He had a little daughter. He has a little daughter, Isis, who's the same age as my daughter. So we get together, play. In the process, we just became brothers, especially during production.
I mean, do y'all ever get like conflict while y'all doing this? Like, you ever butt heads?
Nah, he was the OG, man. Whatever he said was what went down, and it was my job to support that. And a lot of executives, especially executives that weren't of color, you know, described Singleton as difficult because he had a specific creative vision for what he was trying to do on every project. And sometimes people thought he was difficult, but really what he was trying to do was make the best project possible.
Is it safe to say that like black actors, directors take these nominations for like the Grammys more serious than like a BET or NAACP award?
Well, the Grammys is what you get when in the music business.
I'm
And
sorry,
the
Oscars, man, my
Oscars
bad.
is the movie. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, Oscars is the you know, that's the top notch award. You
So
know,
what do you say to people who like, you know, why do you care if you get that award? I mean, you getting the NAACP or a BET award.
Well, for me, I'd rather get an NAACP award. I'm good. You give me I was mad I wasn't nominated for NAACP for Thriller. I was like, come on, man. But you know, like that's my goal. I just want to be validated by my people. I don't need to be validated by the Oscars. But there was a time when we weren't being validated at all. So to be validated, or at least be recognized as a young filmmaker like Singleton, that's a big deal because, you know, like I said, he was so young, they hadn't even nominated a white boy at 22 for a director or for his screenplay. So I think it's important because it's part of the institution, and you want to be recognized by the institution because that's what the business is built on.
So tell me about Welcome to Sudden Death. I mean, is that expected to be big, or is that, I see it's you know, like, is that gonna be big like how the Ozarks is big on Netflix? Like what?
I mean, you know, look, it's a Universal remake of this Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Sudden Death. So Universal brought me in. They asked me if I'd be interested in remaking the movie. First, they asked me if I would be interested in writing it, which I was. I'm definitely always down for an action movie. I told them I wanted to do it with a black man in the lead. I wanted to do it with a brother, and they were like exactly what we were thinking. So I was down for that. And then they saw Thriller and asked me if I'd be down to direct it.
So you're not afraid to tell Hollywood, I want a black person in this position?
Oh yeah, that's the one thing I learned with Singleton. You got to step up if you want to. If you want your people in it, you got to step up. From the actor to the hair person to the costume person to the casting person. I want everybody to be black. And I was able to do that with this. I was able to do it quite a bit with Sudden Death. We shot Sudden Death in Winnipeg, Canada. So I had to fly in a few black people. But like, they asked me to direct. It was a bigger budget. And it's an action movie. It's about a brother who's a security guard at a basketball game, at like our fictional NBA game. And unbeknownst to everybody at the game, terrorists have hijacked the game, and they're holding the mayor and the governor and the owner of the team hostage in the owner's suite. And they take out all the guards, and there's one guard that doesn't get taken out, and he's got to figure out how to dismantle the explosions that have been planted around the convention center, and also save the mayor and the governor. And the bad guys find out he's alive, and they abduct his kids. So, you know, it's very much like my kind of diehard tribute, if you will, with a brother. But it's also a martial arts movie, you know. So there's no better.
Who's gonna be in this movie? Anybody we know?
Michael Jai White stars in it.
Is he the main dude?
He's the main dude. Michael Jai is the real deal. People talk about Jackie Chan doing their own stunts in real martial arts. Michael Jai White is the real deal. He does his own stunts.
I remember him in Spawn, actually.
He's been around for a minute.
We had Simone Missick on here, and she was on the Netflix the Marvel joint.
She's on Luke Cage, yep.
Yeah, Luke Cage, man. I mean, have you talked to her at all?
We have not officially hooked up, but I'm real close with Cheadle Coker, who executive producer Luke Cage. So when he cast her, he texted me, he's like, "Yo, I got some HU." He didn't go to HU, but his cousin Timby did. He's like, "I got some HU up in my new Luke Cage," and I was excited.
So how big was the budget for this one?
The budget for this one was $8.
Is that the biggest budget that you've worked with?
Yeah, and we got to shoot it in Winnipeg, so the budget was increased by like another 40%. And we were all in one. We were in a real arena. We got to rent out a real arena in Winnipeg, Canada. So all the money was going towards, we didn't have to build the arena. We got the arena for 28 days or whatever it was. And so I got to spend money on extras and explosions and getting the martial arts fights right and stunts and, stuff that I flirted with but really got to do, pyro, CGI. I got to have all of that in this movie. So it was cool for me because they trusted me to go next level. If you look at the original movie, it was a little silly. It was a Die Hard ripoff, but Van Damme was doing his thing in it,
It's funny how you look at these action movies that we used to love as kids, and you look at like, yo, I can't believe I used to love this movie. Like, these scenes don't even look real, you know what I'm saying? But it's like as a shorty, you was enamored with it.
It was crazy, but it's because I had to go back and look at it after they offered me the gig, and I'm like, let me go watch this and see if there's something I want to rock with. And I was watching it like, damn, Van Damme beat up the mascot. They had like this chicken mascot. He beat the mascot up, and then the mascot took off the mask and was like one of the terrorists inside, and they kept fighting. It was crazy. But like my whole thing was, can I put a brother in this and make it something cool? Because they weren't doing that then. I mean, you would get Eddie Murphy movies, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, but you haven't had a movie with a black martial artist. And, Michael Jai White, people forget he's a real martial artist. He's done a lot of Tyler Perry stuff, and he wasn't doing no kung fu in that. Like you said, Spawn, he was doing some kung fu, a little bit of action stuff. But
yeah, I saw him doing something with Kimbo Slice on YouTube one time. Let's say it premieres, man, and then you come on and we can have people like ask questions, man, of you. Oh
yeah, we can do that.
That'd be dope. So don't forget, man, in September, I guess maybe October.
We drop September 29th. We drop September 29th. Right now is the release date.
So tell me about the joint with 50 and T.I., man. These are some legends, man, in hip hop, and they executive producing your joint, that you got coming up, the Notorious C.O.P. You gotta break that one down for me, man. Yeah. So Derek Parker was the youngest African American brother to become a detective in New York. He became a detective when he was 26. And he was primarily doing cases that dealt with our community. And once the hip-hop scene started blowing up in the 90s, his lieutenant and captain started giving him assignments dealing with hip-hop cases because at one point, he wanted to be a rapper. So he knew everybody. He knew Russell Simmons. He knew Busta Rhymes. He knew Premier. Wait, this is a real person?
This is a real person. This is a real person.
Oh, okay. Okay.
A real cat. So he became known as the hip-hop cop because he would take on these hip-hop cases.
Oh, okay.
And like when Diddy got involved in the club shooting with Shine and J-Lo, they put this guy on it, and him and Diddy, he was trying to help Diddy not go to jail. So, people would come to him when they needed help, especially in the hip hop community, because he was like one of the only cops that they trusted. Busta Rhymes is getting extorted by the Bloods or something crazy and came to Derek and was like, can you help me? Anyway, Derek wrote a book called The Notorious COP, and it was based on his adventures and cases being the young detective in New York and gravitating towards hip-hop related crimes. And I discovered the book after seeing him in an interview and reached out to his agent about the book, who put me directly in touch with Derek. And then I went and pitched my agent, the book, and my idea of taking the character of Derek and putting him in modern day. But our whole goal, me, T.I., and 50, is to present a hero in terms of a young black detective who's actually helping the community.
How much involvement do 50 and T.I. have in this project?
Oh, a lot. They read the scripts. They have notes. You know, when we went and sold it to CBS, they were in the meetings with me. If you go on my IG, you'll scroll down, you'll see the day me, 50, and T.I. sold it. We took a picture, and of course I posted it. But like, they're definitely hands-on, along with our other partner, Peter Linkoff, who executive produced Hawaii Five-0 and MacGyver. So he's our guy on it as well, but I'm the writer and creator of it.
So basically, with this project, I guess it's different from the movies that you did. It's kind of going back to, like, how many seasons do you anticipate this having?
As long as we can get them checks rolling.
Man, so like when you
ideally, I think I got 5 good seasons. So we could do something like we did with Power, like 50 did with Power, just make every season hot.
Man, so when you do something like this, when you do a story, I guess when you do something for network TV, what's considered successful? Like, how many seasons is like, okay, we winning?
If you can get past your first 2 seasons,
okay,
I think you're considered a success. If you can make it to 3 seasons, you're probably definitely going to get a 4th and a 5th season.
So is this going to be like an hour-long show?
Yes, it'll be a 1-hour action drama.
Man, this is crazy, bro. This is Notorious COP. When is it going to drop?
We don't know yet. Because of COVID, you know what I mean? So when this whole thing is over, then we can go on production.
Friendly debate, man. Black as fuck, man. I'm not feeling that show, man. I don't think it at all encompasses the black experience whatsoever.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think about the idea of a brother from Morehouse creating that?
Kenya went to Morehouse?
He did.
Hey, I guess you win a debate.
I'm asking you.
I think that man, you put me on the spot with that one. Obviously, the black experience is not something that can be, put into one sentence. Mm-hmm. I think when you put something, when you call it black as fuck,
there's certain expectations.
Yeah, you got an expectation that you're going to deliver. Not saying that part of the black experience can't be told, but I felt, I didn't identify with 99.9% of the things that I saw in there. And I would never know that somebody from Morehouse made that. I would say that maybe, I don't know, not to call out a school, but definitely not somebody from Morehouse given their history, or HBCU,
It's interesting. I mean, look, I think you're gonna, like anything with any TV show, comedy or drama, you're gonna either love it or hate it or find some middle ground. I think that there was a couple episodes. The one episode where he had the family reunion, I believe it was, and then he had his family over, and then they incorporated. He went and visited Tyler Perry, and then he they incorporated a piece from Menace to Society when he was talking to his kids, and he was like, you fucked up, right? And then they showed the clip from Menace to Society or whatever. Some of that was clever. I mean, in terms of like, it was funny. But I think that your instincts in terms of what you didn't like about it is your opinion in terms of you can't be wrong. I find it interesting that Kenya coming from Morehouse did create that. It's definitely has its own point of view. But it's not going to be for everybody.
Well, like when I think about Black as Fuck,
when you call a show Black as Fuck, there's a lot of things you're going to be expecting.
Yeah,
and I'll kind of I'll leave it at that. Because
remember that movie? It was with Sandra Bullock in it, and it was like all of these different like connections throughout the movie. I forgot the name of it. Crash.
Yeah.
I feel like Black as Fuck should have been like Crash, where you could have talked about that experience and another experience like The Wire, and then kind of having them like intertwined. That way you like intertwining all these Black as Fuck experiences. That was my take on it. I know that's kind of
yeah. I mean, yeah.
All right, next one, man. Monique, bro. Monique.
Cool.
I
think we touched on that, but like I said,
Monique. So I'm gonna take the position of Monique. You're wilding. Who are you to think you're not Amy Schumacher or whatever her name is? We're not giving you this contract. You have a niche audience. I don't care if you have a, whatever award you have. You're not worth more than $500,000.
You should have took the $500,000. But again,
you're supposed to debate me on this.
Oh yeah, my bad. But look, she got an Oscar. She is a comedy staple, meaning she's been around for a long time. I mean, from what I understand, there's been a lot of opportunities presented that were either mishandled or just not taken advantage of properly. So, I think in Monique's mind, she is an icon. And she might be right about that. But just because of what you think doesn't reflect, the offers that are coming to you. And it's easy to debate who's to blame for your career, but at the end of the day, I think you have to always let it fall back into your lap. And I know I'm supposed to be debating you, but like the idea of blaming other people for your demise, I can't get behind that. Unless you were legitimately blackballed because you did something, as we mentioned before with Bill Cosby, diabolical. But I feel like Monique still has an opportunity. You can't cancel people because they'll come back and prove you wrong. But I do think that, sometimes we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah. What advice do you have to the 18-year-old from Denver coming into Howard right now? I mean, this brother's coming from Denver, man, not LA. He's coming from Denver, dude. I mean,
Denver.
I don't know. No, you might be the second black dude I ever met from Denver.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Right.
There's a lot of Africans in Colorado now too, which is interesting. That they chose Colorado. A lot of Ethiopians and a lot of Nigerians in Colorado now, which is interesting. But anyway, I would tell the cat from Denver to be humble in terms of where you're from, because people are going to try to clown you because you're from Denver just because they're from LA or New York. Don't take it personal. In fact, embrace where you're from and be proud of it. And soak in the experience, because going to DC from Denver was like beaming up to another planet. And embrace it and enjoy it. Because you're going to come out of that experience a different person from who you were when you left Denver. And that's probably everybody. But in Denver, there's not a lot of, at least when I was coming up, a lot of opportunities to learn about yourself, and a place for Afrocentric thinking to congregate. You couldn't go to some of the places that are in DC, because it is a chocolate city. At least it used to be. And get the experience that you can get. So, I would tell that brother coming in to soak it all in and be patient, because he'll find his path. Me coming in, I already knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to do it. Which is, I wanted to write, I wanted to direct, I wanted to be in the movie business. But something told me, because of school days and a different world, you'll go there and you'll figure it out. And you'll be much more educated, at least I thought I would be, than going to UCLA or USC. And I think that theory was right.
Dallas Jackson, man, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it, bro.
Bro, it's been a pleasure. I consider this family, so whenever you want to do it again, man, I'm down.
We got to connect on the IG Live, man. We got to connect on that so that Howard Cast can know who's behind it, a lot of work that we see on TV. So I think that would be dope. And it would be good for, the Howard community to be able to ask you some questions, man. I'm sure people want to know about what it's like to get something on Netflix. How do you sell something, to a studio? What it's like working with John Singleton. Did Howard prepare you for stuff? I think you got a great story, man. So again, thank you for coming on. I truly appreciate it. Also, if cats want to follow you or get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They can hit me on IG or follow me on IG with DJ Classicz, DJ Classicz, and then with a Z, all one word on IG. They can send me an invite on Facebook, Dallas Jackson. I don't really do LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, but I hardly ever check it. But they can hit me on IG. I'm trying to build up my IG a little bit. So everybody that shoots something to me on there, I usually pay attention pretty quickly.
Good stuff, man. Thanks again.
Hey, man, you're doing your thing. Keep killing it. You're going to build a network with this thing, man. So keep on, promoting your IG, and I really enjoy it. Like I said, it's entertaining, man. I love the images, and I think it's going to catch on with some sponsors, and you on to something good. So I appreciate it, man. Let's keep it going.
Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.